Let's go. Tap in, tap in.
Tap in.
Tap in. Got mute up real quick. Tap in, tap in. What's popping, man? Shout out to the party, Alito. Tap in. You know what I mean? Gonna start a little earlier tonight. You know, my man Blaze ain't with us for the campaign mix. You know, things like that happen sometimes. Matter of fact, it's a good reason though. We gotta welcome a new child to the world. Shout out to Nazir who just came in the building. You know what I mean? Stepped on the ether plane a couple days ago. Feel me? Touchdown on the 2222. The 22222. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to her mom. Shout out to his mom, excuse me. I ain't gonna put their business out. But Blaze, shout out to you, man. Congratulations. Outside of that, too, this week we've had a couple people pass away. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my auntie Barbara. She passed away this week. She love you, Auntie Barbara. Shout out to Firebirds matriarch. She passed away this week. You know, it's got to give a shout out to all the matriarch that's left us too at the same time. You know what I mean? Um, what else took place? Oh yeah, and one of our matriarchs, shout out to the party, shout out to the party. I'm going to that real quick, but first, one of our matriarchs had a birthday that's coming up, so I'm gonna shout her out now. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Sherry, her Earth Strong's tomorrow, so everybody show her some love. You know what I'm saying? Definitely on the last day of what they call February 28th. You know what I mean? Shout out to Sherry, our matriarch with the autonomous party. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Like I said again, we can go in. Our special guest tonight is Indian Red from Black Indians United. You know what I'm saying? Black Indians Unite. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? In a few minutes, we're going to bring them up. We're going to go straight into a good conversation. But I wanted to first just give a shout out to what we also did this weekend, meet and greet vibe. We had a meet and greet this weekend. You know, so some people came from all the way from California up north, all different places to come vibe with us this weekend. We definitely had a good meet and greet on Friday at the Bolero spot. And we definitely went to the exhibit at the Boca Museum to see the Machu Picchu, you know what I'm saying? And definitely we did a nice little tour, you know what I mean? Down Seminole Way, touched the Hard Rock, touched, you know what I mean, Carnival, because the Carnival, shout out to the Trinidadians that be doing their Carnival. They so happened to reschedule their Carnival because of what took place with COVID. So instead of it being done in October when it usually comes to our city, it happened to be this weekend too, along with the Food and Wine Festival that was going on in South Florida. You know, shout out to Bride, Dade County. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of things. We touched a lot of places. We actually touched down in Wynwood too, that the art district, and a lot of things be functioning on the late night tip. You know what I mean? So we just, you know, we got to show our people around a little bit. I mean, obviously, there's a lot more to see, but we want to give shout out to everybody that did come in. And obviously, if you didn't make it, hopefully you get down and come to our next one. You know what I mean? Now, outside of that, though, you know what I mean? Uh, Indian Red with us? Let's pull up Indian Red, man. Let's get to the action, man. You know what I mean? Peace. Can you hear me?
Halito, yes, sir. I can hear you.
Halito, how you doing, Indian Red?
Man, I am good, brother. Yourself?
Doing great. I thank you for joining us tonight, man.
No problem, man. No problem.
You know, I've been seeing you for a minute. You've been pushing this information for a minute, and I just wanted to give you that shout out first because you've been going hard in the paint. And you
Yes, sir.
know,
I appreciate it. I appreciate it, man.
yeah, no doubt. You know, before you probably even know who I was or anything like that, because I know you also do a little bit of trucking, right? You in the trucking game and logistics and everything too. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Yes, just you know what? I own two 18 wheelers. I just bought my second one back in January.
Okay, congratulations. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that.
Congratulations.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we bought your package, man. We supported that when you was
Oh, you did? Oh,
promoting.
okay, yeah, man. I
Yeah,
appreciate,
we bought it.
man. I appreciate
Yeah,
that, brother. I try to put that thing together, and a lot of the people were requesting that. They was requesting me to put it together, so I was just trying to put it together as fast as possible. Just just to get the people, man, to something that they wanted to, they requested.
real talk,
Yeah. So
man. But so with all your business moves and everything, you still take time out to push what you've been pushing. You know what I mean? And
yes,
obviously, you got the Black Indians Unite. You know what I'm saying? For
yes, sir,
those
yes,
that
sir.
don't, for those that don't know anything about you, do you mind breaking down what you got going on a little bit before I get into any other questions? You know what I'm saying? You can tell people about yourself and everything like that. Indian Red.
Yes, sir. Well, I was born in St. Louis, Missouri. I was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri, and all of my people are from South Carolina and Mississippi and Alabama. Um, my grandmother, when I was younger, um, I used to always talk to my grandmother about where we came from, and my grandmother never really spoke about it when I was a kid until, like I said, maybe it was 2022, so it had to be about 2016, because I kept bugging my grandmother about it. I kept calling her like every other day, asking questions, and I just really wanted to know, man. So, I kept calling her, kept asking questions, and finally my auntie got on the phone with me, and we started going over all of our ancestors and names and dates and all of that. And man, I started doing my genealogy, and I ran into something crazy. And I said, wait a minute, something's going on here.
Hmm.
Something going
Hmm.
on here, man, because I grew up just like every other so-called African American, thinking we came from Africa as slaves, blah, blah, blah. I grew up with that same story like everybody else. And when I started doing my genealogy, that's what kind of turned everything around and made me get a new perspective. And it really made me start to pay attention to what had happened in this country. So that's
Hmm.
what got me here, right where I'm at right now.
So what when you decided to, because I recently even actually you be on Facebook going in alive a lot for those that don't know, so check him out on Facebook as well. You know what I mean? He go hard in the paint. You know what I'm saying? You you said recently, this is something I think like a couple of days ago you had mentioned because it's fresh on my mind. I was listening to you. I shared it even that you're talking about how you used to be in a certain school of thought, not even just the African American, but you used to be cool, into the Hebrew Israelite situation at one time.
Yes, yep. I used to be a Hebrew Israelite. Um, I started being a Hebrew Israelite even way back in the 90s. That's when I really started getting into it, but actually becoming an active member of it, I did that around 2004, 2005. And again, just like everybody else, man, just trying to find out where we come from, and the Bible situation and the scriptures and stuff like that kind of made a little sense to me, but I really didn't like take all the way to it. I still felt something was off because I'm like, I know our history don't start and begin with a Bible and that's it. Like I just knew it
Right.
had to be something else, you know what I'm saying, out there. I knew it was something else more than that. So I really was still searching within, even though I was being an active member of that community. I still was searching within for something else because I knew it was something else there, man. So that's what really got me on this journey again, where I'm at right now.
So, when you said that you was breaking down some things, because you was showing you got some books in the cut that you don't get to touch all the time in that particular video that you was when you were going live.
Hmm.
So when you came to come and understanding, because I feel the same way about it. I just had Lee Cummins on our show last week. Shout out to Lee Cummins from Negro Questions. And he's saying a
Yeah.
lot of these things about us being indigenous to the land, and also that the Black European is the person that first came over and mixed in with
Yes.
those colonies.
Yes.
So how do you feel about that from your perspective of research?
Um, you know what? I'm gonna be honest, man. The Black European, as far as what I've researched, a lot of those people were Moors,
Right?
and those people are the ones who actually helped the Europeans navigate to get over here.
That's
To
exactly what he's saying. Yeah, that's
right,
what he's yeah.
and right, because they was the Moors was coming over here, and we were in contact with them, but they were the ones helping the Europeans come over to take over the land. They had translators. Even Christopher Columbus, when you read Christopher Columbus's journal, he had translators in his and when you read his journal, he had translators with him to come and translate with our ancestors, because you had people that were here. You had a lot of traders, a lot of our own people stabbed us in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So those Europeans, those people, the Moors, they ruled Europe and all of that. Those people came and helped the Europeans, the white Europeans, come over here. Well, really Africans come over here and take over this land, and that's how that happened with them people. Because if you do any further research, you'll see the people that's white skinned that we call Europeans today. Those people come from Africa as well. You can even look on old ancient maps, and you'll see those people on those maps in Africa.
Okay. Okay. That's why I'm asking you, because I see how you be going in. Now,
Yeah.
I have you heard of the Black Law Dictionary?
Yes, I have. Yep.
The fourth edition. Are you familiar with the fourth edition?
No, I'm not familiar with the fourth edition. I haven't read it at all.
Okay. Can you pull up the term Moor for me, God Green, from the Black Law Dictionary, fourth edition? We're gonna put it on the screen. We're gonna pull it up on the screen real quick, because it's interesting, since you brought up you said the Moors and how they've been ruling. And because of
Mm-hmm.
what we come to find out with this term with me, going back to the fourth edition of the Black Law Dictionary, it's gonna kind of break down something, because of how the fact that I think we generalize Moors as if we're talking about Muslim, a certain just Muslim faction.
Mm-hmm.
When we really got to break that up, because not all of them who would be called Moors were all Muslims. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That'd be
Yeah.
biased. That'd be
Exactly. Yep.
biased. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yep. And not only that, you got some of our people that was actually indigenous to America ended up using that Moor title. More
Correct.
definitely did not just apply to people from North Africa, because those people actually Moors. When you talk about the Moors as a race of people or nationality, or however you want to categorize it, those people came from Maghreb and Mauritania, North Africa.
Correct.
That's where those people came from. But we had some of our people that were here in the Americas, indigenous to America, Aborigines, that used that title. And even when you go back into the 1600s in the New England colonies, the Europeans were calling anybody that had dark skin that was not a white European, they called them by the term of blackamoor. And that term
Correct.
applied to American Indians as well.
You close to it, God? We're about to pull it up. We got to scroll up, so we won't be scrolling up on the page. We want to get to the definition. But everything you just said is definitely a fact of the matter. And Lee Cummings did say, just like he said last week, and I want to hear what you think about this. He said, hey, the Moor and the Jew, you got to keep them together. So we're talking about a dark-skinned person who would have been practicing Judaism, or be considered a Hebrew,
Mm-hmm.
or even a Protestant. You know what I
Right,
mean? In
right,
this
right.
case,
Mm-hmm.
you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I've heard this a lot, man. There's actually a book called Nature Knows No Color Line by J.A. Rogers. That's a great
Yep,
book, man, and it speaks
yep.
on that.
That's a fact. And you
Yep.
know what, man? While I'm waiting for God to pull it up, I think that it's just the situation with the confusion these days with people saying that the Moors are indigenous to America. I know you've heard that before. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
I
Where
heard.
Moors would
Yes.
say that they're indigenous to America. And how do you feel about Moors that did come over to the Americas, right, and mixed in with the indigenous, the Aborigine of the land? How do you feel
I'm.
about that situation?
I mean, if they came over and mixed in with some of our ancestors, which that did happen, that
Right.
definitely happened. So, I mean, if they came in and mixed in with some of our ancestors, I'm not here. I'm not one of those people, man, that I'm gonna tell anybody who they are. I can't tell you who you are because I don't know. I haven't done your genealogy to say who you are. So, if you identify with that term more, if that's what you identify as, or you identify as indigenous and the more, whatever it is, I'm not here to tell anybody what they are or what they aren't. You have to do your own genealogy to know where your people come from. And if you identify with that and you know for a fact that you have indigenous ancestry and Moorish ancestry, okay, I have no problem with that. But my thing is saying that the Moors are indigenous to America, that's another thing, because those people, when they got here, our ancestors were already here. So you can't be indigenous to a land where there was people already there when you showed up. It's the same thing as Christopher Columbus saying he discovered America. How you discover a place where our ancestors were already here when you got here. That's not discovering something. So that's how I look at those people. I don't have anything against Moors, though. I don't have anything against them personally. But to say that you're indigenous to the land, you would have had to been here at least 20, 30,000 years ago. And that term didn't even exist. As a matter of fact, again, when you really do research on that term more, when it's referring to the people of the Americas, it's only referring to a skin color. Mooring mean black people. That's just all this was referring to when you talking about American Indians. Not saying when it started in North Africa and Mauritania. I'm saying when it was referred to American Indians, it was only referred to a skin complexion.
Yeah. So when you right, so how's that really? I'm getting reverb. Is that me? Okay, real quick. How does that really work in the situation for people who are getting confused in the argument these days about using the term more? Because I mean, really, as we're looking for, I'm trying to pull up this Black Law Dictionary. I'm trying to find it real quick.
And
So
also
go ahead.
another term for Moor as well. Mooring is also, if you look up, if you even go further back, mooring is when you are guiding a ship. That is called when you're guiding a ship, you're called that's mooring. You're mooring a ship. So the people that were coming from North Africa with Christopher Columbus, those people were mooring. And that's another reason if you read Christopher Columbus's journal, like I have, if you read that journal, he even stated in that journal that they were mooring. So that's why they put that title on certain people, Moors, because they were the people who steered the ship. They were mooring. You can look these terms up.
Yeah, you're right. Because I
So
think that
all the time when you say Moor, it's not referring to, and I'm not saying yourself. I'm just saying like when people say, "Oh, I'm a Moor," you got to understand the origins of those terms and understand what they are talking about when they refer to certain people. Because yes, American Indians in New England did get referred to as blackamoors and eventually Moor, but they were only referring to skin color. And I have a book on that. Actually, if you go look to a book called Africans and Native Americans by Jack Forbes, he explains that in the 1640s in New England colonies, they were referring to American Indians in New England as blackamoors. It's only referring to a skin color.
and that's the problem that people aren't understanding though. See, so we can talk about dark skinned people, you can talk about Hebrews that are dark skinned, you know what I
Absolutely.
mean, Protestant, Muslim,
Yes.
Turks, right?
Yes.
Anybody that's
Yes.
dark skinned can fall in this situation.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
you know, because we can use the word black, Negro, or more
Right.
based off a
Right.
description at a
Right.
certain timeline in history, right? Am I right? You follow where I'm going with that? Like
Ye-
at a certain
yes.
time, they were saying more before they were saying black, but then
Yes.
black and more
Absolutely.
got
Yes.
applied as
Yes.
well. Okay,
Yes.
cool.
I'm
Make
with
sure
you.
we're on the
I'm with
same
you.
page. All right.
Yeah.
So when you do genealogy, because I thought I had that bad boy pulled up, but it got us. This book is full of. I'm in the eye right now, so we're trying to find that particular one. And if what, it's going to be hard to find us. I'm gonna take the time with that. We'll come back to it. We're gonna find it though. We're gonna find that. But at the end of the day, when it comes to genealogy, while I'm waiting for this situation to pull up, I, how do you look at the genealogy that you find when you find people that have indigenous and they have certain things like European or white or you know what I mean, German, you know what I mean? You're finding these things in genealogy when you're finding also the indigenous side that you're helping people find the genealogy.
Yes, sir. I mean, most of the time, I will find a European ancestor, or I will find somebody who is connected to that family through slavery. It's not necessarily a European ancestor, but I throughout all my time of doing genealogy, I've only found one person that actually had an African ancestor in their family, and he is also related to Beyonce, the singer. His fifth great, I mean, I'm sorry, his seventh great grandfather is Beyonce's fifth great grandfather. They're cousins, and he is
Say
a
what?
also And I had to tell him, now, when I say African, I'm just referring to that's where he was born. That's where he was born. He was born in Angola. But if you know the history of Angola, you know American Indians were taken to Angola as slaves, the Cape Verde Islands. They was taken from Ghana to Zaire, Angola, and the Cape Verde Islands and North Africa as slaves. All American Indians were being taken there for years as slaves. So when you see somebody born on the west coast of Africa, they're not necessarily an African. It's just like us being born here in the Americas, and we know we indigenous, but we classified as an African American. Those people were indigenous, born in Africa, classified as an African just because they are born there. They're African by citizenship, but their bloodline links to indigenous Americans. So yes, most of the time that we do, and again, all of these sources you can cite, and not only that, it's not just it's not a primary source, but it's also, you can look up the primary sources in the British and Spanish archives. The records are there. The records are there. You can see plenty of American Indians that was being taken from the Americas to Africa as slaves. It's documented. So now when I do genealogy, and I ain't mean to I'm trying to be long-winded, but when I do genealogy, I do go in and I do see that's the only person I've ever seen that had somebody that was born in Africa. Mostly everybody else is either I have to track them down by records, I have to track them down by geographical location, or something like that. But most of the people that I see, when I can go back to 1700s, none of them have an African ancestor that I've come across, except that one person. Nobody has had I've seen nobody that came off of a slave ship or none of that. And then when you go find certain slave records, those slave ships don't even exist. When you look up the name, like I had one record that I posted up of a woman named Jane Gamble. She was a slave. She was taken as a slave from South Carolina to Georgia on a ship called the Everglade. When you look up the ship doesn't even exist. You don't see a picture of it. You don't see a name of it. There's nobody talking about it. None of that. It's almost as if they just made up a name for this ship and just put it up, because you can't find the name of that ship. You can't find any type of sources on that ship at all. But then again, that ship was coming from South Carolina to Georgia. So again, when you talk about the slave trade and they talk about these the slave trade was mostly within the Americas.
And I think we have plenty of times we found out this situation, like that's what we see happening too. Shout out to Opie Mihal. A lot of things with God of Green, we be dealing with the genealogy too, and we're not finding that African either. Unless like once in the blue moon, finally here or there maybe, but that's not the majority of the situations. We're finding indigenous, and then we're finding Scottish, Irish, you know what I mean, even Spanish, you know what I mean, mixed with the French, mixing with it, but not that African, you know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people are thinking that those French, obviously, shout out to Lee Cummings from last week, those different people from those colonies were white people, and these European names or French names or Spanish names come from white people, not in the sense of white like a color of skin, you know what I mean, but coming from I think you said it earlier, a system where they could be considered white. You know what I mean? Not necessarily that they are white in the complexion of their skin.
Yes.
See what I'm saying?
Yes. And
compared to an Indian.
And I'm glad
Aboriginal.
I'm glad you brought that up too, because my grandfather, for instance, now my grandfather, my sixth great grandfather, he is half white. He half white, half Eastern Band Cherokee. Now, his father came from Gayhurst, Buckinghamshire, England, in a community called Windlesham. Now that I do have some European ancestry on that end, but like I said, other than that, as far as and going back to what you just said, just because they come from those European countries, those are not necessarily white people. Those could be Black Europeans. A lot of times it's Black Europeans, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad you saying that, because I think people take it out of context. I know you do genealogy, and I see you go through the record, see you go live with it. So I want people to know that I've seen you do this. That's before I even got you on the show. I was watching it. I'm like, I got to get this man on the show because he go in on this. And this is the ethnogenesis of the Aboriginal American and or indigenous American that look like us. Like you got the whole brand and you're pushing this brand about us uniting. How do you feel about that part of it as far as your intentions with the brand Black Indians Unite?
You know what, man? I came up with that name because I seen what was going on in the indigenous community as far as us going at each other. And my thing is with me, man, and I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I come from a city where, I mean, St. Louis, man, you just do the history on it. Like it's like it's not a place that you really want to be if you're not from around here. Like you don't want to be down in this place, man. And I see a whole lot of negativity around here. And so for that, I'm not one of those type of guys, man. I'm very laid back. I want the best for everybody. I'm for everybody coming together. And I feel like every time we get something good going, it's always our people having to go at each other's throat. Like, why do we always have to go at each other when we know two heads are always better than one, right? So why do we always have to go at each other? That's why I created Black Indians Unite. Everybody come together, like, because we can get more things done if we all come together. I don't care what you identify as. If you identify as a Hebrew, a Moor, whatever it is you identify as, it does not matter to me. At the end of the day, we're all here in the Americas and we're going through the same exact thing. And if we don't come together as indigenous Americans and come together and say, hey, look, we're not going to take this no more. Y'all going to give us back what y'all owe us. Y'all going to honor these treaties. Y'all going to give us our land. Like right before I just came on this show, I was just talking to my wife right now because we just found 80 acres of land for her Choctaw grandfather. So I told her, I said, look, we're going to call Arkansas tomorrow. We're going to get the deed to the land and we're going to do what we do. And that's the same thing. That's why I started this Black Indians Unite thing, because that's what I really want. I want everybody to come together, man, under one umbrella, no matter what tribe you're from and the things that happened in the past, because we know certain American Indian tribes enslaved other American Indian tribes. We get it.
Facts.
We understand that. That happened. The Cherokees were notorious for enslaving other smaller minority tribes. They would go down and enslave them. Those things happen. We went to war with each other. Those things happen. I get it. But at the end of the day, we're all in here on this boat, man. We're all in this country, and they've done the same thing to every last one of us. So at the end of the day, what we going to do? We're going to keep on fighting and arguing with each other and not getting anywhere. We have to get things done. We have work to do. So at the end of the day, right, we can settle all that other stuff afterwards. We got to stay focused on the mission. And that's why I stay focused on trying to put the information out. Put information out. Put the videos out. I try to stay focused on the mission and not get into all of the other arguing and back and forth and this and that. I don't want to, it's too much energy for that. We have to stay, because we got us going against each other. Then we got these Native Americans coming at us. Then we got these Mexicans coming at us. Then we got these Europeans. It's like, come on, man. Like, we got to.
Hey, man, matter of fact, hey, you know a guy by the name of Six Toe?
Six Tail?
Six Toe.
No, I don't know him.
Okay, man. I mean, I heard that you had a little situation with some Native American that be coming at you. That you be having issues with them people, some of them people, right? Like they be tripping with you and stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. They threatened to kill my kids.
What?
Yeah. They threatened to kill my kids. They said they're gonna kill me. They're gonna kill my kids. They called me monkeys, niggers, every name in the book, man. So it's like, and then I went back at them, and then they put a little video out and tried to make it seem like, see, look at how he talking, he racist and blah 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 blah. Like, bro, I've never been racist a day in my life. I only came at those people for that particular reason, and they tried to make it seem like I was coming at everybody. No, I was coming at them, and that's why I made that post that I posted on my other page, Indian Read. I posted a post up on my Instagram just to let them know, like, that's not for everybody. I'm not that type of disrespectful guy, but was coming at the people that was threatening me and threatening my family and saying they're gonna kill my kids and all this other stuff, all because we're bringing out this truth. Y'all hate us that bad just because we're saying that we are indigenous Americans. That's a problem
Crazy.
to them. But at the same
Yes.
time, you're threatening me saying you're gonna kill my kids and kill me and all this other stuff. But at the same time, you got white people who don't have a drop of Indian blood on a reservation, dressing a par, playing a par, jumping around like they Indians, and they receiving all the benefits that we're supposed to be getting, and more actually. And y'all have no problem with that. But you have a problem with me saying I'm Indian when I got documentation to prove it. It's beyond me, bro. It really is beyond me, man. So yeah, this is what's been going on, man. And I don't know him, but the ones that have come at me, I don't really want to put their names out on on this platform. We ain't gonna give them no pub, but they know who they are. They know who they are, man. And it's an ongoing thing. It really is.
I get you. I just say one of their names because I have an issue with him. I said his name, I'm gonna leave it alone besides that part. But you know what I mean? He got a lot of stuff going on, you know what I mean? And I hope that sometimes people will realize that they're causing themselves no issues, you know what I mean? It's really don't make no sense to be caught. Like, why you worried about why they so worried about our plight if they got what they got already? Like, what's the big
Exactly.
deal? What's the big deal? What you about to lose? What you about to
Exactly.
lose?
And
You know what I mean?
that's what it is. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. They're afraid that we're going to accomplish something that they can't. That's what it is. They're afraid, man. Listen, like I told the guy before, why would because their biggest thing is, oh, y'all ashamed to be Africans and blah 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 blah. That's their biggest. They always use those same terms over and over. You're ashamed to be African. You're ashamed. You're ashamed to be black. Blah blah blah. Let me address them because I know they're gonna listen to this because they follow me around. Like, I mean, I don't get it, but these people say we're ashamed to be black. Why would I be ashamed when the entire planet wants to be like us?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in the world want to be like us. They listen to our music. They try to take our fashion. Their women want to look like our women. It's like, why would I be ashamed of who I am? We are the trendsetters. We are fashion. We are the leaders. We are the chosen ones. We are the ones that started this civilization in the Americas. Why would I hate being black? I would want to be no other color. And I'm just using black as for a term so everybody can understand. I wouldn't want to be any other color, period. Even after all the things we go through, still. So,
Hey, it's Black History Month, as they call it, man, and all the different type of people that come underneath that umbrella. Free people of color, Jinde color, like you said, Negro, mulatto, and
exactly.
Indian. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? But they all
Yep.
fall underneath this term black, free people of
Yes.
color. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? It's funny in South America they use terms like Pardo, Ladino, Mestizo,
Mm-hmm.
Muscago, right?
Yes.
For like the different mixtures of these people, particularly the Portuguese, right? The Castilians of South
Mm-hmm.
America.
Yes.
Because you know because of certain books I know you be into. I'm gonna pull up because I ain't gonna lie, we having a hard time finding this damn thing. And Link ain't trying to pull up what we looking for right now. So I'm gonna have to come back on that, but I'm gonna find it. Anybody that does know though, because I don't like to do that and don't pull up a source. Black Law Dictionary, fourth edition, MOOR. But either way, and in the term from what we looked up, it's dealing with a position in the court, a rank of a position of somebody that is dealing with the court originally
Mm-hmm.
in that law dictionary. I'd rather show it though, but I'm gonna say it because I know I read it. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, the word Indian in the Black Law Dictionary, so we can't pull it up right now for some whatever reason, is because we can't find it. Basically, they're getting to the thing. You can find Indian. Okay, well we'll pull that up and look. I really wanted that, but I want to get to the segue of because we can pull that up in a minute too. It's going to show that Indian is dealing with the word Aboriginal inhabitants.
Yes, sir.
Why is it that they don't see when we say we Aboriginal Americans? Some people don't like that. See, I like the term Aboriginal American.
Me too.
Malcolm
Me
X
too.
told you we were Aboriginals and didn't
Aborigines.
like to be
Absolutely.
called
Yes.
it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And he said that nobody else can be an Aboriginal, but the people that look like us. I
Exactly.
thought I was
Yeah.
very, very prominent. You know what I mean? In today's time to say, yo, I'm an Aboriginal. Like, yeah, my
Yes.
genealogy might be a mixture of different indigenous groups of people. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
Right.
I'm still falling into that category as that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Hmm.
So, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, I think that people don't understand that, but this term, like you said earlier about the word mooring and the Marines, the original people that were sailing the seas from ancient
Yes.
days and stuff like that, and then ultimately getting to who obviously are being described in a certain way in a certain manner. But this word more in this book, can you pull up that source for me? This more in this book. I got this book. I'm gonna show everybody this book that has this certain time frame. Since I couldn't get at the other one real quick, couldn't find that, but I did find the other one. So in the meantime, between time, whenever you're ready. Give me 1 second. All right, so I got this book right here first. You see it, Indian Red?
Yes, sir. The semantics of Moors dependency in medieval Portugal.
Yes. It says, you see where it says 12th to the 15th century?
Yes, sir. I see that. Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna scroll down real quick. I want to just go through the let people to see it, just the introduction, a quick introduction here before we go into the certain parts, all right? It says the semantics of slaves in the medieval Portugal is the subject not approached from the historiographic or linguistic point of view. Despite the extensive bibliography on the subject, indeed, the very adoption of the terms slaves or slavery became generalized in a much later period, due to mainly to the sub-Saharan traffic during the early modern period. Slave is a term which nevertheless finds its origin in the medieval period from an ethnic designation. You see that? It says
Ethnic.
from a,
Yes, sir.
so the original slave is going to go back to this term called Slav.
Slav.
You see where it
Yes.
says that? It
Yes.
says
Slavic.
that
Yes.
of a Slav.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It says in Italy, the term scavio, that's Schiavo, same as Slav, which goes back to the term slave.
Yes, sir.
Originally designation as an ethnic group of people, not Negro originally, not
Exactly.
Moor originally,
Yes.
not Black originally, but this word. All right. This now going to come down. It's going to come down and say, hold on, excuse me, emerged as the 11th century in the South, although it was in common use throughout the Italian peninsula by the 14th and 15th centuries. In the Spanish languages, it appears in the 14th century in quite a restricted way, but its use did not actually spread until the next century. In Portugal, it is documented only in the second half of the 15th century through largely subsidiary to other designations. So this is when the other designations are starting to fit this term slave. All
Uh
right.
huh.
And it says, as its use becomes widespread in the 16th century. Now we can scroll down.
And also, you can look that
Go
up
ahead.
in you can go to census records to see some of these Europeans were slaves. That's why on the left hand column or the top or wherever they're located on the census, especially when you go to the 1820, 1830, 1840 census, that's why it has a column that says free whites. Why would it say free whites? Because
Mm,
there were slave whites, Slavic.
facts. They were free.
So it's there. You can go look that up on the actual census itself.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those Europeans that was coming from those countries, when they got here, they were slaves as well.
Indentured servitudes, etc. Right,
Yes.
etc. That's a fact. That's definitely we found that too as well. Um, so now when we dealing with this term Moor, it's going to come in here. It says Moors, and it's going to go into like the 14, 15. I'm going to start right. Where it says Moors is almost universal synonymous. No, go up, 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 go up. Scroll up a little. No, go back up. Go back up. Go back up. Go back up. No, down. I should say that. I'm sorry. All right. Right. No. Go to the top of that second paragraph. Right there. It says, in fact, the terminology from the 12th century onwards is deeply marked by the Christian conquest of the territory. The abundance of Muslim captives of war made the term Moor an almost universal synonym for slave, a feature that persisted in medieval Portuguese society even after the final subjugation of the southern territory of Algarve in the middle of the 13th century, with the conquest of Ceuta in 1415 and its subsequent Portuguese expansion in Morocco. The term Moor once pervaded the terminology of slavery. Thus, throughout the Middle Ages, hegemonic language crystallized in the memory of the process of the Christian conquest of the territory, determining particular semantic for non-free individuals, that of Moors. You see that, right?
Non-free individuals that are Moors.
So he letting you know that. So when you hear Moors be talking about, like, you see that they went through stuff too. They went through a transformation after a time when even this word Moor was being used in a synonymous way to say that you're a slave,
Yes,
a
and also
derogatory way.
yes, and also because another reason why they try to Moors will try to say they're indigenous to America is because their leaders did have an allegiance with the United States. They actually recognized Morocco actually recognized the United States first as an actual country.
Yes.
But what they'll try to do is try to say, "Are we indigenous because our ancestors had allegiance?" Well, what they don't talk about is the reason why that happened. What was that treaty of peace for? What was the reason that even came about? Go do the research on that, because a lot of those Moors were being enslaved when they were coming through here.
Or underneath the Sultan. And
Yes,
another thing they don't talk about is who was the Muhammad who signed that deal, Alawat, the Alawat dynasty, them French Arab Moors, as they were called,
I
right?
know where you're going. Yes,
Okay, that's not the same situation as the Negro who was on this land that was
yes,
being still called a Negro at that time when there had treaties and different things going on with people who would be considered Turks, who also would fall underneath the category of a Moor. You know what I'm saying? Just like you
absolutely.
had Indians, as they label in these laws, who were amity with the United
The
States
government.
and
Yes,
also were given that same privilege of
yes.
freedom and certain things. So I don't, I'm not. It's just a historical document. I just want to make sure people see. Go back up, see the book, because we're not going to read the whole thing. I want to make sure, what I mean. When you go to find this book right here, anybody that's watching this right now, the semantics of Moorish dependency in the medieval
And
Portugal. That's the chapter. It says forms of unfreedom in the medieval Mediterranean. So that's the name of the book. You see the link up top right there. I want to make sure everybody get the source. We ain't just making these things up. This is a source that really goes through and talks about how these people went through manumission in their own system underneath the Christian conquest and ended up having to free themselves and become Moriscos and citizens of the Christian situation, and then worked on, like you said, worked for these Europeans now that are Christians and brought them over to the Americas and was working on behalf of them,
yes,
indentured or whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying?
yep,
Situation.
that's it.
You know what I mean? But I think
That's
that a
it.
lot of people don't know that. I'm glad you know that, though. You know what I mean? Because that's
Yeah,
why we are
absolutely.
here having this conversation.
And another thing I try to tell, like, even if, like I said, if you go back and look, you'll see they had to send letters back because, again, when you look at all the documentation, there were Moors that were being enslaved, and those Moors had to send letters back to their leaders, letting them know, hey, they're enslaving us over here because they're treating us like these Negroes. We're not them. They had to let them know that, and that's why those people. That's why that treaty of peace and friendship even came about, because those Moors did not want to get enslaved and get treated like they were trying to do the American Indians or the American Aborigines. And you're right, what you said. That term Aborigine. That's
Mm-hmm.
really what we should be using. We should be using that term Aborigine, because even when you go back to the 1828 Webster's Dictionary, and you look up the term native or indigenous, they both mean the same thing. A person that's just born into a country. Really, if you really go, you can go look that up right now. You can just go to Google and type in 1828 Webster's Dictionary, and you can type in indigenous on the website, and it'll tell you native, born in a country. So we really should be using Aboriginal, because that's what we are.
I'm glad you said that, because this, you see it right here though. This is the Black Law Dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
You see where it says Indian tribe at the top?
Tribe,
At the
yes,
top,
sir. That's the first thing I looked at.
it says a separate and distinct community or body of Aboriginal Indian race of men found in the United States. It even gives you the case and everything. You see that?
Yes, sir.
This is the Black Law Dictionary, 4th edition. Am I right, guys? Green, make sure. I know we're trying to find more in here. I'm telling y'all, look up more. You're gonna find that too. We found. I mean, I don't know what happened, but either way, the Indians is right underneath it. Indian tribe. So as an individual, it says the Aboriginal inhabitants of North America.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Frazee versus Spokane County. You can go type in that right there if anybody needs. You know what I mean? I got some more sources, but this is just this is the Black Law Dictionary.
Yes, sir.
So
I
are we
see
going
it.
to debate about what the Black Law Dictionary is telling you in description of who they're saying you are as a general source of being original people from a place?
And not only that, when our ancestors signed those treaties, they signed those treaties under American Indian.
Right. Now that is where people are debating about, you know what I'm saying? Because of the fact that you see on these treaties terms like American Indian, so people would say, well, it says this on the treaty, so we need to go with that term. You see what I'm saying? But I still understand that from a lawful standpoint, if you like how you do genealogy and you got Choctaw or whatever you're finding, you know what I'm saying? Because it's a whole bunch of other names outside of the 5 civilized tribes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Exactly.
that those names that you're finding are Aboriginal names outside of that 5 civilized situation. So
Exactly.
they're not going to be in the treaty because of the fact that a lot of them weren't the ones that were in amity or even got into
With the government.
negotiation with the government.
Yes.
Am I wrong about that?
I know. No, you're absolutely right. I knew exactly where you was going. Yes, absolutely.
Library joint. So I want, I'm going to make sure, because, you know, people, we had this ethnogenesis conversation. You're on part 5, you're our guest. And I know you've been, that's why I wanted you to be the guest on this series we've been doing. And we've had other special guests that can talk about this. And, you know, just 2 things that we've been covering is obviously the ethnogenesis of the Aboriginal American, and also that free white person or that Swarthy or Moor or Hebrew that came over and mixed in with the Aboriginal people, because that word American, as you said, the Webster Dictionary 1828 is going to state that the word American means the Aboriginal people who were found here by the Europeans and later designated to the Europeans. But them Europeans could have been dark skinned too. So technically, what are we talking about right now? You see where I'm going?
Yes, sir.
Because we the Aboriginal and the European is in our bloodlines. Am I wrong?
No, sir. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
That's it. So yeah, I think that I got another thing, because I wanted you to see it too, because I know if you're going to tell me, I know you've been in the books, so I know with the sources I pull up in our conversation, we can have a great conversation. You feel me? Because some people, it's not an emotional thing at this point. I think you know already who you are. I know who I am. We don't got to get caught up in that. You feel me? And like you
Yes,
said,
sir.
it's about uniting and having these conversations so that people can hear it and have sources to go back to. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yep. And
So we can't be acting like we just up here emotionally charged on something. I ain't got no hate towards nobody. Like I'm like you. I really can't. I got too much other
and,
stuff going on to be doing that.
and see, that's another thing too that I have an issue with. A lot of our people, when we're bringing this information out, they're right along with the Europeans and the Native Americans and everybody else, screaming about how we're self-hating Africans and we hate
Okay.
ourselves, blah, blah, blah. But my question to them is this, and this is a question that I always ask, and I tell everybody to use it. And I'm not trying to take a dump on anybody or nothing like that, but at the end of the day, you coming in the comments saying that we self-hating Africans and all this and we hate ourselves. But my question to y'all is this: who is your fifth great grandmother? That's what I want to know. Because if you're
Me
coming in
too.
telling me that I'm an African and I'm a self-hating African, so if you know who I am, clearly you know who you are. So if you're telling me I'm African, I need to know who your fifth great grandmother is. Who is that woman? Because if you don't know who your ancestors are, you have no right to tell nobody who they are. If you ain't done your genealogy and you can't go back to your fifth, and I'm not saying you have to go back to fifth great grandparent. I'm just asking that question as to say is If you don't know who that lady is or that man is, how do you know who all these people is in America? How you know we Africans if you ain't done your own genealogy and know where you come from?
That's a fact.
And then you come in with some history that's 1,000 years ago, but you don't even know your grandmother from 200 years ago. You see what I'm
Tell me
saying? That
about
makes
it.
no sense.
I want to know what for people that's on the African thing so hard. Since I mean you're having this conversation, anybody might come in our chat and might disagree with this. Why don't they use the term Libya?
Exactly.
Why don't they use the term Mauritania?
Exactly.
Why don't you use the term Tunisia?
Tunisia, exactly.
Why don't you use the term Ethiopia?
Yep. Or Egypt, whatever
Algiers,
it is.
right? Like I can keep giving you names, you know what I'm saying? Like Benin. I mean, like from Timbuktu to Babylon, they give you plenty of information about dark-skinned people traveling into and having empires in what they call the Sahara. I'm not knocking the empires, Songhai, Mali. You know what I'm saying? See, I don't think people understand that we're not people like we have a problem with the empires of that place we call today Libya. I'm gonna call it the right
Right,
term.
exactly. Like you said, like I said earlier, I don't have a problem with anybody, but I don't have a problem with Africans. I don't have a problem with
Can
Native
you go up more?
Americans. I don't have a problem with nobody actually. The whole point of what I'm saying is we know that we are
I
the
want them to see the
Aborigines.
title.
We know that we are the Aborigines of the country. And guess what? We're not gonna back down from that. We're gonna keep on pushing forward until we reclaim what's ours. That's the bottom line. And that's it's never gonna end because now we're not this is a day of information. We have the internet. We can read, we can research, we can study. The information is there. Nobody's backing away from it. We're not see, it's like a lot of these people, especially these Europeans, they don't even know they don't even know the history of this country. Because when you start bringing certain information out, they're so against it because they're so colonized. They have a colonized mind. Their mind is so steered to where they have a narrative on their mind so bad that they're not willing to see the truth about anything. And it's even with our own people. Our own people is the worst. They
We
are
hate on
so,
each other harder than anybody.
man, they so stuck. Man, their mind is so colonized that they can't even see through the bull crap and just say, you know what, we have been lied to. And I understand it a little bit because it's hard for people to start over, man. It's hard for people to just start over and say, man, I got to do all of this all over again. That's what they're thinking in their mind, man. I got to start all. I just rather stay with what I'm already been brainwashed with. I just rather stay with that.
You know what though? Because I'm gonna be fair about it. See, when I had this conversation, like I said, when we do these live broadcasts, shout out to Museum Lounge, shout out to Super Blaze. Like I said, it just had his son. Our mix we do for 8 to 9 o'clock. But at the same time, when we go into this information, we have you like a guest and certain people. Shout out to all our guests that's come on our platform and built with us and had these kind of conversations. And again, we try to always bring some kind of document to have a talk, have a talk about. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
you see it's on the screen right now.
Yes, sir. Library of the Aboriginal American Literature.
Number four, right? That's number four, right? We're gonna scroll up like the Black Law Dictionary. That means there's versions of this Aboriginal American situation. If it's number four, right? So this preface, stop right there. You see that it's highlighted Muskoke screen. Can you yeah, bring it a little bit more. So some people will say, like I said, that in the Kashada, you know what I'm saying? Um, we understand that Muskoke, not Creek, but Muskoke, you know what I'm saying? The Alebamu, you know what I mean? The Kasada, you know
Yep.
what I mean? All these, the Cha-Cha, you know what I mean? We know the original Aboriginal terms, even though we know what Creek, Choctaw, you know what I mean? Cherokee, but we know the Aboriginal terms behind it, you know what I'm saying? That's just
Exactly.
layman terms that treaties and certain people that were mixed, obviously, too, were able in positions to write contracts or do treaties with on behalf of a tribe or a confederacy in the
Yes.
case. Have you seen that in history too? Am I wrong about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because yeah, again,
Oh, I'm wrong. I'm wrong.
no, 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 no.
I'm
I'm
wrong.
saying no. You no,
Okay.
you're correct
Okay. I'm saying. I'm making
because
sure.
because guess what we got? I mean, again, you just made a valid point with the names. Again, like my tribe, my grandfather, my second great grandfather, his mother is a Mississippi Choctaw Indian. Now we know it wasn't called Choctaw; it was called Choctaw.
Mm,
It was Choctaw and Cherokee and all these names. Cherokee should be called Anianwea.
mm,
And there was no Creek Nation until after the Yamasee War. There
mm.
was no Creek Nation. That nation didn't even exist. So all of these names, Cherokee, Choctaw, well, the different spellings of the names now, Choctaw, Cherokee, Chickasaw, all these names, those are governmental creations. Just
I'm
so
glad you said
European,
that.
just so Europeans can take over, and because they couldn't go under those names, they couldn't go under Annie and Weir, they couldn't go under that name.
So I'm glad you said that.
Those are the originals.
Those are the Aboriginals.
Right, exactly. Those are the Aboriginals. They can't go under
You know
that
what I'm
name.
saying? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that's why I don't say Creek, I say Muskogee.
I got videos, man. Listen, I got videos where I've talked to these people. Listen, listen, just like, okay. So if you go into the congressional records, if you look up, there's a family called the Burris family. Burris, Burris. And it's a guy named Tony Burris. He was a full-blood Chickasaw. This guy, they done classified him and his entire family as a freedman. He had to go take him to court to sue him to tell him, like, hey, I'm not a freedman, man. My family full-blooded. But because he had those Negro features, they put him down as a freedman. And he was going in there trying to let them know then, like, the way y'all classifying us, y'all basically stripping our original heritage away from us, our original culture, with these different name changes and all of that. Like, we didn't ask for that.
Mm-hmm.
So this was going on. It's all in the congressional records. I posted this record on my Instagram. You can go look at it.
They have
So
no
it was
idea.
going on back then too.
Exactly. It's been going on for a minute. You scroll up a little bit more. Let me see some of the names real quick. We go to the next source. I just wanted to make sure I show people that there is literature dealing with Aboriginal Americans and their Aboriginal names before contracts took place with the European. So you're seeing a lot of the different names you see here through the Muskogee. You know what I mean? It's showing you, yeah.
The Yamasee.
Hitichi, yeah.
Hitichi, yep.
Mm-hmm. That's a language as well.
Yes, sir. Yep. That's what the Yamasee speak. They speak that language.
All right. Itimukula, by the way. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. And here we go.
So this whole situation is set up to, let people understand. You know what I mean? I like to use Aboriginal terms all the time. You know what I'm saying? And but I know when I'm talking to people that might not understand or study this information or have certain sources to go off of, that's why we're providing certain ones like this tonight. You know what I mean? So people can see that we know the words and the original terms. You know what I mean? We're not just up here, you know what I mean? Just talking for no reason about these kind of conversations. But scroll back up to the top, just let them see what it said at the top real quick about what's the name of the book. You know what I mean? They can do their research on that and get their search on it. You know what I mean? Of course, we got that in our library. Shout out to our Thomas Party Social Club. We do it like that. But what's the next one? Is there anything you want to say about what you've seen right now so far? How you feel about the conversation? Indian Red.
No, man, you know what, man? For real, honestly, I just want to, man, get the information out to the people, man. Just because, like I said, man, for real, at the end of the day, we have so much against us right now, man, just because we're trying to wake our people up and we're trying to alert them to the truth, man, of what really happened to us. How we went from Indian to colored to Negro to black to African. It's like, listen, let me tell y'all something. Another thing, if we want to touch on these reclassifications and where we come from, let's think about this. If we were Africans, right? Why didn't they just call us Africans from the beginning and keep it there? Why do you have to change somebody's race 6, 7 times for what? If those people are Africans, you could have just said that from jump. But because you got to remember, but they've been calling us Negroes from the beginning. You can go back. It's documentation of Spanish people, the letters that they've written where they was calling us Negroes. Negro is just another term that just means black. You can Google that. You just Google the word Negro, and you can see that word Negro comes from a Latin word, Niger, that basically says nigger,
Right.
means black. That's all it means, black. And even they were calling us Negroes de terra, meaning
That's a
Negroes of
fact.
the land.
Do you know you shared something the other day dealing with a guy I know because that's the source of that for everybody that needs to know the Jesuit guy by the name of Manuel de Norbega. Are you
Uh-huh.
familiar with him?
Yes.
He yeah, you put that sort you were showing that. I'm like, yeah, when you said you showed that, I'm like, a lot of people don't understand that. See, that's some Portuguese of Jesuits. Why would they need to make a distinction if the people were different? Like if they were all from the Guinea, then they'll all be Guineas. You
Yes.
see what I'm saying? And
Yes.
even the fact that they even calling them Africans then, just saying Negro de Guinea. They ain't even saying
Exactly.
Negro de Africa. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, why are they saying Negro de Terra, being that they're coming to a new land and they're not actually designating what the name of the land is because they don't know the name of the land yet?
Exactly.
See what I'm saying? So they're saying Terra because
Exactly.
that means earth.
Exactly. 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 100%, bro. 100%.
Like,
And that's what that Negro de Terra means. Exactly. Blacks of the earth. Exactly.
come on. Like, Aboriginals of the earth that they're
Yep.
trying to enslave now. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yep.
Disenfranchise. Disenfranchise.
And disenfranchised. And that's why, so my whole thing is, man, just everything we discussed, I just want everybody to come together, man. That's just how I am. That's like I said, going back to the Black Indians Unite thing, that's the reason I gave it that name, because that's what I really want. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's so divided still, man, because everybody want to do their own thing. I get it. I understand. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, nobody's going to accomplish anything great by themselves. It's not going to happen. I don't care how great you are, how many followers you got, how much knowledge you know. Nobody's going to do it by themselves. We need to do it as a team. All
That's
other
a fact.
races understand that. That's why they're winning, because people do stuff as a team, man. That's the only how we're going to get it done.
That's
And
a
we can
fact.
get it done. And I believe it's gonna change. It's gonna get done. But we gotta start, we got a lot of work to do, man. And this is like I'm just so focused on trying to do the work, man. I honestly am, man. That's all I'm really focused on right now. Just trying to do the work and put this information out because again, I use the term because I had somebody the other day was like, yeah, man, we gotta stop using these terms like black and this and that. I said, look, I use those words black to draw our people in because that's what they're used to. Those
Yeah.
those those terms will make them turn their head. When they come in and get the information, it's up to them to identify with what they want to identify with. If they want to say they copper colored, if they want to say they Native American, if they want to say they American Indian, Afro Native, Afro Indigenous, copper cut, whatever it is they want to identify as, that's their choice to do that. My job is to draw them in with the information, draw them in so they can see it. Once they see it, that's on them to identify whatever. But at the end of
Right.
the day, we all have to come together, man. That's just the bottom line. Just like what we're doing right now, we need to be doing this all the time.
That's a
And I
fact.
and and I wish I would have been a little bit more prepared today. I just was so busy today, but I'm definitely gonna take this live stream and post it on my page so other people can come to it and see it.
I appreciate that. And that's love. I'll do the same with you, man. I put it on our page, everything you be dropping. You be dropping some real stuff, and I want people to get the information. It's about, like you said, there's more people that's saying the same things and got sources behind it, do the genealogy to prove these things and can put their things in place and can tell their story of how they were disenfranchised at a certain time and show the progression, how their family went from being called Indian to being called, Negro or
Mm-hmm.
African American. Matter of fact, I'm gonna show real quick something. Can we show this real quick? What I have on the can you pull that up real quick? And after that, I'm gonna go to this word African that we came across this month. Before I want you to see something. Let me tell me what you think about this French word I'm about to break down. But I want to just show this to people too, because see, there it is right there. This is I've had somebody come to me by the way, Indian Red, and say, oh, well, the word Aboriginal is in Canada, South America. It's not used in North America. It wasn't used in the United States. I'm like, come on, man, what you talking about?
Okay. Well, that's
So
impossible. I got congressional records that show that
tell
it
them
was
again.
definitely used in the United States.
Right. So it's saying it right here. Aboriginal land rights in United States and Canada.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can you show
That
the
word
source?
was definitely used.
Go back up. This is North Dakota Law Review, Volume 60, Number 1, Article 3, 1984.
I think I have that. I think I have that right there. Yep.
Okay. Can you scroll up a little bit? Because it's got case laws in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you see the nature of the Aboriginal title in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So when people talk about what's the highest title of the land type thing, obviously the people that inhabited it had the highest title of the land. It would be called the
They
Aboriginal
need to
title.
understand too what that term Native American, that came about in the 60s and 70s.
Facts.
We wasn't
It's
calling
new.
ourselves Native Americans. We never called
Right.
ourselves Native Americans. That's a new term. Let them have that Native American term. We are Aborigines, and I try honestly, man. I'm not even joking with you. I try to stay away from any other thing other than Aborigine. I try to stay with that, man, for real, because that's the correct term.
But they got us trapped in their system. So like how you said, I'm gonna say to you, I don't get mad about American Indian.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you feel me? Like
If people
when a
like,
brother say to me that, oh, okay, he say he American Indian, I don't make a big deal about that. Like that's a
yeah,
waste of time for me to go back and forth to him saying, well, I say I'm an Aboriginal American. You say you're American Indian. Well, shoot, we both talking about the same tribes, right? I mean,
right,
at the end of the day,
exactly.
right? I mean, with the
Yeah,
who cares?
that's a waste of breath. Yeah, that's a waste of breath, a waste of air, man. Like,
So we can meet in the middle. I'll meet them in the middle and
exactly.
say indigenous American.
Indigenous,
Okay, we're
right?
talking.
Exactly.
We all can get along on indigenous American. I could do that, no problem. Politically speaking, you know what I'm saying? But I'm still going to favoritize culturally the word Aboriginal. Shout out to Malcolm X. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
'Cause he said he don't like to be called that, so I like to be called that. Call me an Aboriginal American. You know what I'm saying? If you want to ask me what I want to be self-identified as, culturally speaking. You know what I mean? And I ain't
exactly.
knocking nobody else. You feel me, Indian Red? I ain't knocking
That's
nobody else.
exactly. And my thing is, like I said, man, for real, because I mean, look, man, think about. I mean, we're definitely. I mean, the entire Aboriginal community, man. Like, we're definitely making an impact. Because I mean, people are looking. There have been people that have come in my inbox, celebrities that I've had conversations with about this. And they're like,
Hmm.
yeah, they're like, man, look, I found you through this person and that person. I'm like, wow, like I didn't even know those type of people would even have time to watch little old me because I'm just for real, man. I'm just trying to I'm just trying to bring the information to the people, but I'm talking about like heads are turning, like they're starting to see, and even the Native Americans, there's some of them that's actually rooting us on
Because
because
they know some
they
things.
know the truth.
Part on my complexion. That's what I'm gonna say to them. Part on my complexion. But
Yeah, they know the truth. It's some on this. It's some on this. Like, yeah, I know. I got, man. Listen, I got messages from Native Americans who's like, yes, your people was here before Columbus, way before Columbus. And I've got messages from them saying, yeah, the indigenous people of Mexico were black people. Yeah, I
mm,
got them. I got messages. I've showed these messages in videos before.
I got some sources for them tonight, just for that kind of stuff. I'm glad you leading me that. You throwing me alley oops. You know what I'm saying? You're throwing me alley
So
oops right now. But
it's like, don't play with us. Like, we're not like. Come on, man. Like you had people, especially when you had the New York Times publishing this stuff back in the 70s saying, yeah, man, you know, those skulls at those Olmec sites were Negroes. And then they
mm-hmm.
say, well, how they know they was Negroes? They didn't have DNA testing back then. See, they want to keep jumping back to this DNA stuff. See, first of all, when it comes to that, you're gonna have people that you can't take some Native American Mongoloid DNA and try to compare it to the Aborigines. Of course, it's not going to match
Thank
because
you.
those are not the original people. You're going to have to go get the original ancient bones of the Aborigines and test those bones and match it with the people you call so-called African Americans. I guarantee you we have a match.
Match.
You can't take some Native American Mongoloid DNA and say, you know what, this is going to be the foundation for all Native Americans. If you don't have this DNA, then you're not a Native. No, you cannot move like that. That's not, because those people were not the originals.
That's a fact. Now, but since you said original, can we get to that word African real quick and see how, since we said, we got today the term African, right? Is the etymology, I want to make sure people see this, etymology.com, right? Okay, so it's going to sit here and say, I don't know, hold on, scroll up. Is this the one I'm talking? Yeah, it's it. All right, so it's going to sit here and say, Old English.
Hey, Brock, hey, can you talk? I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
I can hear you, but it's like, okay, go say something else.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, I can hear you now. Yeah, my bad.
Oh, no
It was
problem.
kind of low.
Yeah, maybe I turn it up a little bit. My fault. Hold on. Make sure. Can you hear me better now?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, cool. So this word African, you know what I mean? And can you open up the whole thing so we can see the whole definition here? No, yeah, go down to that now. The second one in white. That's where I want. All right, so it's going to say Latin, Africa, terra, right? Then it says African land, Libya. Then it says Carthaginian territory, the province of Africa. Africa as a continent, feminine adjective, Africanus, or Africus, excuse me, from Afur. And in African, a word of uncertain origin, it says. Uncertain origin. Uncertain origin. But then it's going to say the Latin word originally was used only in reference to the region around the modern Tunisia, which is going to connect you back to them Carthaginians who got conquered by a person named Africanus.
Africanus, yes. Oh, they
Right.
call him
So
Publius Cornelius Africanus.
yeah, or Scipio Emilius
Yeah, Leo Scipio, Scipio,
Africanus.
yep. And the Punic
Yeah.
Wars.
And the Punic, well, exactly, gets Hannibal, right?
Hannibal, yep.
Okay. Right. So we talking factual things here. Now, when it comes to after Tunisia, which is North Africa, Northeast Africa, right? Tunisia, northern eastern corner, a province. A province. Oh, he fell out. I think he fell out. So I want to wait. Let me know if we get him back. It's crazy though, y'all. While y'all waiting in this conversation, right? It's going to sit here and say though adjective, and it goes on, right? You see it, you read for yourself. The Latin word originally was used only in reference to the region around the modern Tunisia. It gradually extended to the whole continent. A derivation of the Phoenician conjugate of Arabic afar, dust, earth. It's tempting. I give you all that good stuff, but originally up there it says a word of uncertain origin. But then it comes down and says the Middle English word was Afrique. Got them at two F's, the Affrike. Afrique. Is that a French word?
That's how they say Africa in French.
That's how they say it in French, right? Afrique. Yeah. So can we type? Can you pull up Afrique real quick? Because I know Indian and Red ain't worrying about this anyways. Just gonna look that word up right there. That word right there, Afrique. French, old French, right? That's what it's gonna say. Old French. But it shows you though, for the people that, and shout out to all the people from out of Libya, you know what I'm saying, different regions and their tribes and what they call themselves. Shout out to you in your indigenous way of what you do over there. I ain't got no issues with, people like that. But we just getting with the word, what I mean? Because this word originally is something that came to at a different time frame. You know what I mean? Because Libya is definitely older than that term. So, and if you are finding somebody that was considered a slave during that time frame, brought from Libya or any region of Libya before the term Africa would have been applied. And even if you are brought from the area where you have Carthaginian blood in your ancient of days ancestry, you know what I'm saying? I think you still should understand that this word, you know what I mean, is going to apply a certain way. So you see how it says a freak. Wait, stay at the top real quick. Go back up to the top. I got it spelled. AFFRIQUE. Then it says alternative forms. Then it says a freak. AFFRIKE. Then underneath it says AFRICHE. Now all these alternative forms is the French, right? All right, so and they use it's funny how they like it. You put two F's with all their situations. One F? Yeah, I found that interesting. They always, I'm finding old French, like the two F's. But then, the French, we was just talking about this a couple of weeks ago, right? About the French and a Frenchie, a Frenchie, which means freedman, right? All right, so are we a denoting term in the French society of dealing with a freedman, right? Can we put up a Frenchie real quick before I slide on to the next situation? I just want to make sure that's clear because I don't want nobody coming at me about the words and maybe they don't know. I don't know nobody, you know what I mean? There ain't no hate speech, you know what I'm saying? This is what they're saying. This is what the word is saying, right? I mean, the fact that it's not my words. It's not. I didn't write it. I didn't write a dictionary. Feel me? Or the Webster, none of them. The Backlaw Dictionary, I ain't write none of them up. You can't blame it on me. You feel me? That's why I ain't mad. I ain't gonna sleep hard about none of these conversations. This is what it is what we're reading. If you are finding what you're finding it. Just be genuine with yourself about it. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Indian Red. Hopefully he can slide back on us, whatever knocked him off. You know what I mean? But I appreciate his time either way. Just ahead of time. You know what I mean? You let me know when you find that real quick so people can see that. It's what Frenchie. A Frenchie. Similar to a freak. And this is the new version because they say old French. A freak. AFFRIKE is old French. AFFRANCHI is new French. Same word. A Frenchie is a former French legal term denoting a freedman or emancipated slave. It is used in English to describe the class of freedmen in Saint Domingue and other slave-holding French territories. The French had territory in North America, right? There was Huguenots and French in Philadelphia and certain areas in Northeast America, amongst the Iroquois, Lenape, and all that. The French were moving around. So that word definitely was being used in their societies of thinking of dealing with who they were freeing of, or slaving and emancipating and manumitting and all that good stuff. Or even in some cases, being abolitionist. Some of them weren't with it. So I'm not going to put it just on everybody. You know what I mean? It's not about that either in history. Because we're in the future. Well, we're supposed to be every day you go towards the future. So you can't be worried too much about those things in that kind of way. It's just for clarity so you can kind of get some understanding that how these terms are being used. Again, shout out to Libby. When you say Africa to me, though, I'm looking at you like, hey, this is why. I'm looking at you because, and through genealogy, we're finding that everybody wasn't a slave, right? God. So now everybody was manumitted, emancipated, especially they was always living on that land. Things change around you and you end up getting assimilated into what's going on. Free people of color, that happened to be what happened. You know what I'm saying? Amongst swarthy, more-ish featured people, I guess I would say Aboriginal people, you know what I'm saying, that were lumped together underneath this free people of color. Jinde Color. Lebrie. Shout out to Bree. Shout out to Trail. Shout out to Davina. Coming from the West Coast. You know what I mean? Vibing with us this weekend. Hey, yo, God, can I get that next joint real quick, though? I just want to make sure y'all see that, though. You can go check that out. That's the word. You can look it up yourself. That's why we put the sources up there either way. You know what I mean? But this is the Ethnogenesis of the Aboriginal American Part 5. Thank y'all for vibing with us tonight. You know what I mean? We just got to having a meet and greet once again. And we've been vibing this weekend. So, and obviously we had a lot of situations, people passing, people coming on to this plane at the same time. It's been a transitional week. People coming in, people leaving. Feel me? A cycle of life is taking place for real. So be be Macarios about your days you have. Abara Sean. So what we looking at? You know which one we're looking for next? Hold on, let me get it. I got it right here. I want this one. I want this one right here. Yeah, I want that one. Give me that one. Yes, sir. Some things in the cut. Things in the cut. Again, I don't know what happened, but I thank Indian Ref for vibing with us tonight. Definitely, you know what I mean? You can jump back on. I'm going to send him a little link, see if he's all right. You know what I'm saying? By the side of that, you know what I mean? I got a lot of stuff I probably wouldn't have covered anyways, if not the case. So this definition right here, pagus, pagus, pagus. Let's know what I think pagus, I'm going to say with an E. No, okay, whatever. You know me. My pronunciations be wrong, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. So it says in the Roman antiquity, a fortified place or village in a rural district within which the population of the surrounding territory took refuge in the event of any threatened attack. Now, can we get to that link though? This is just the definition of the word Pegasus. I want the other one with the map. It's going to give you an area. It's going to tell you about something that's taking place. And shout out to Florida. For those that came to Florida, you did. This is one of them. But you know, as a Roman, I want you to see that Roman antiquity term, pagus. That's the word that's being used and what's about to be shown in a minute. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. So this word, pagus, earliest Italian administrative unit of which we know anything, a territory which is the essential feature was the boundary, not any central point within the boundary. Why is they using this Roman term dealing with this Spanish group of people that's coming here, right? Could it be a requiremento that allowed them to use certain terms based off of a manumission system? Hold on, what's the link? Show the link at the top. This is a Barry learn. What's that dude last name? Ruderman. Okay, Barry Lawrence Ruderman, Antique Maps Inc. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna come down. Zoom in on that bad boy. All right. Yes, sir. All right. Pagus. You're gonna have to come back down now. There you go. Keep it right there. Keep it right there. Keep it right there. Pagus. Hispan norm. You see that? Hispaniorum. That's HISPANORUM. It says in Florida. It's in Florida. Pagus Hispan norm. Now we're gonna come down. We're gonna scroll down. Go down to the pictures of these people they got down there with the maps and everything off the joint. Look at this. You see that? You see them people with the pinions on their head? I mean feathers for those that know. I say pinion. You say feathers. Same thing. Yeah, they got the pinions on their head though. You see the Aboriginals walking. That's the Timucua, by the way, that they're describing in this joint right here. This is dealing with St. Augustine, a certain time frame, and a certain individuals. Matter of fact, I think they got a little history. I want to just show the map that they got. This is obviously dealing with also the mission, because it said Pelgus, so it's a fortification. You know what I'm saying? So Saint Augustine, which is connected to this, is connected to the actual fortification of these people setting up shop. And there's a story behind it at all. But they're giving you a description of these Aboriginal people. And also that St. Augustine missionary situation is connected to Panama as well, because of the fact that originally that missionary group used the same term as far as the missionaries down in Panama. They used it as St. Augustine as well. St. Augustine being the oldest place where they say, the original Thanksgiving took place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that right there is dealing with the, what is it again? What's the term they use? Los Indios, right? Is it? Damn, I just lost it. Los de Indios. How they say it? No, Numbre. That's what it is. Numbre de Dios, right? But they say Indios. They tried to change it, but de Dios, Numbre de Dios. You know what I'm saying? Amacaris. You know what I mean? And that St. Augustine mission was the Tamukwa. They would say Yamasi was a group of people as far as the description. Amacaris. You know what I'm saying? Amasi without the Y, however you want to go into all that good stuff. You know what I mean? And again, the Carolina Genesis gives you a great description of this situation as well, and the group of people that they talk about if you're into this information of Aboriginal people and their mixtures. But either way, though, you see the description, you see how they got these people. You know what I mean? So here's my next joint though, because I think this right here gonna give a little context to it. Let me make sure I'm on point now. I gave you that, so hold on. I want you to go to this one, dog. Ethnogenesis of. Oh no, that's the definition, joint. I'm tripping. Hold on. Slide messing me up. So that's the wrong on the slide. That's it, the one on the slide. That's the real map. So where's the other one? See, this what happens when you get to me. If you want, you could pull up the package, the same word. It might give you a little more definition of context in another source outside the map. You know what I'm saying? It's what. Hold on. I know I got that bad boy right here somewhere. My slide's messing me up right now. I apologize for that. No, but my whole timing got thrown off. But either way, that's still the Pagus Hispanorum. That's Roman Latin. You know what I mean? For those that don't know. Damn, I lost the source. What the heck going on? It was literally talking about, De Soto, you know what I mean? And how he came in and what they were doing. And this is all after the 1510 Requiremento, by the way. Well, that's another, Roman Latin type of term. There, is that it? And then the description. Oh, description, I bet. Thank you. I'm going to get that at least. Thank you. So it says St. Augustine was founded in 1565 by Pedro Mendez as a base of operations for protection of the Spanish trade routes to its American colonies in the West Indies. Mendez named the settlement St. Augustine after the day of the festival of San Augustine. The first known plan of the city was sketched by Baptista Bozio, an artist who traveled with Sir Francis Drake in 1586, at which time Drake raided St. Augustine. The view was originally drawn from Jared Van Schickningen, I can't even say it like that, right? Work, and depicts a fictionalized view of the town with the mountains of other fanciful embellishments from John Ogilvy's seminal atlas, America, being the latest and most accurate description of the New World published in London in 1671. Ogilvy's work is an English translation of Ammodus Montanus Die Neue in O Baccalaureate. I ain't gonna say that right, y'all. The Amsterdam, although greatly expanded in some instances with new maps and views At night, a nice dark impression. So yeah, that's the real map joint, right? Information on it. Okay. Is there anything else in there really good? Hmm? Overview. Okay. No pressure. So with that being said, that the whole thing gonna lay out a certain way, right? So now you know that basically, that St. Augustine situation, the Timucua, who came in contact with them people, that's who that fortification was built, and they showing that picture on the map. That's the Timucua, you know what I'm saying? And they Aboriginal people that came in contact with this Spanish group of people.
You notice they didn't show what the Spanish looked like.
At all. All back turned.
Mm-hmm.
Dressed up though. You can tell they're different from how they dress, but they ain't showing you the complexion. You know what I'm saying? But you showing the people that's dressed more Aboriginal with just pinions on and froze. Pinions and froze. Yeah, that part. You know what I mean? That whole situation come back though, again, just in this conversation we've been having tonight about the ethnogenesis of the Aboriginal America, right? First contact. And then obviously we came forward, we went to the word of Frenchie or freak, you know what I mean? Freedman, the denotation from a system manumission that the Romans, with the words you just heard they use, but pagus hispanorum, which is a Roman term. See, if you got to understand the linguistics of what's going on here, there's a similar connection taking place. Oh, boy, let me tell you. Hey, can we get the 1510 Requiremento? Let me get the 1510 Requiremento before I go on to this next part. See, sometimes I'll be having to make sure I don't skip nothing on things like that because I said it, but let me put it up. Because last week when we did from like, we thinking from 1510, the Requiremento going into the 13 colonies time frame, that's like 100 years. From 1510 to 1605, when you get the charter with King James. Then his actual introduction dealing with the charters in the Americas and whoever other lands he was controlling is literally 1611, the introduction that was taken out of the King James Bible that Lee Cummins was talking about last week. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that, right? That's why it's like when you put all that together, that's why Lee Cummins last week. Then we were going to this week. You know what I'm saying? Because and we got Lee Cummins coming back. You know what I mean? To do a part 2 for that 13 with a couple special guests. Shout out to Ronna Johnson. We're gonna be because she went, like I said, she broke down Homeboy. I got some questions about them people in a certain way. Things still. You know what I mean? I want to kind of get more detail. It intrigued me a little bit. But either way, though, dealing with this situation, not to be confusing what happened with the 13, what's going on right here. We're dealing with Requiremento of 1510. The pronouncement to be read by the Spanish conquerors who defeated Indians. So all that stuff that took place in St. Augustine and what they were doing down in Panama and the West Indies, as they call it, right, was done, you know what I mean, underneath Nombre de Dios, you know what I mean? In the name of God, right? Dios mean God. All right. So can we scroll up? Indios, Spanish, some people say, right? Dios, Indios. Okay. Indian in English now. In the name of God. The requirement was written in 1510 by the Council of Castile to be read aloud as an ultimatum to conquered Indians in the Americas. It asserted that the religious authority of the Roman Catholic Pope over the entire earth and the political authority of Spain over the Americas, except Brazil. We went over this, I think, before, but still, from 1493, Fort Papal Bull that divided the Western Hemisphere between Spain and Portugal, it demanded that the conquered peoples accept Spanish rule and Christian preaching or risk subjection, enslavement, and death. Often the requirement was read in Latin to the Indians with no interpreters present, or even delivered from the shipboard to an empty beach, revealing its prime purpose as self-justification for Spanish invaders. See, we got the dude named King. It says on the part of the king, Don Fernando, and then Donna Joanna and his daughter and Queen of Castile and all that good stuff they going into. But this is their document, you know what I mean? So like King James got his, we got documents from back there. It's 100 years before that, for the 13 colonies. They came and said, yo, what's what we doing? Now, 1492 is when they say Columbus came, right? That's 18 years later. Feel me? So they took some time, right? That's 18 years that they get find out what's going on, what's going on. You know what I mean? Wait a second. And they finally put the smack down. You feel me? Like, hold on, now we feel we know what we could do. Now we got a certain situation and now we're gonna move a certain way. So and then they got certain people on their side too that are actually, like Indian Red said, indigenous, or we can say Aboriginal people from that area, especially South America and Mexico area. It's a lot of history in there. I mean, them conquistadors too. You know what I mean? Definitely, they went through a manumission situation. Some of them, you know what I mean, having to come over here and ran ship and was fighting. They were dark skinned people going against other dark skinned people. However you want to look at it. But either way, check that out if y'all get a chance. Put that in your diet. I'm gonna slide on a couple things. It's been one of them weekends, you know what I mean? After that, we're gonna get y'all ready for Aboriginal Wall Street next week. You know what I mean? Shout out to Money Corner Sad to do that with us every week. I mean, every first Sunday, excuse me. Every first Sunday for Aboriginal Wall Street. Shout out to Crypto Fred, you know what I'm saying? That comes and vibes with us and does it on Clubhouse as well. Tap into our Clubhouse. Check out our Facebook or our Instagram. You know what I mean? Follow, subscribe. Appreciate the support. Obviously, if you want to get down with our Discord and certain things we're building out for some bigger things we're doing, you can subscribe. Go to theautonomousparty.com. You know what I mean? Get into our Patreon and our Discord and also certain programs we got set up right now, too. Shout out to Lee Cummins. Shout out to Tavis Sanders and NDU.org. You know what I'm saying? We're doing some things, like I said, on that side of the fence to really try to make it tangible for our people to really get this information and apply themselves to it. Shout out to our social club once again. Shout out to the Genealogy, Opie, Gotti Green. Shout out to our membership committee. You know what I'm saying? The things they've been doing. You know what I mean? Shoot. Shout out to Nancy who put the itinerary together for, you know what I mean? This past weekend. We had a good one. I got to get my bowling right, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. The bowling game situation, man. I was in the gutter a couple of times. I ain't scared to tell y'all. I ain't played it so long. But I had a strike, though. Okay, stop playing, man. You got to put that out there. Like I was about to say, I'll go. No, you can. It's the truth. Yeah, I had one strike. It is what it is. I'm going back soon, though. Forget that. I'll be back. I ain't gonna be. Ain't gonna happen no more. Ain't it? No, for real though. We had a good time though. Real talk. And again, on that Machu Picchu, because I'm trying to slide into this is my like transition into the situation I want to talk about is because we went to the Machu Picchu exhibit. You know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of people that read that book from Rocks Cry Out. You know what I'm saying? And he talks about that particular place. Am I right? God, like, isn't that a particular place, the Machu Picchu exhibit that we went to? Like, wasn't that the hill and everything? They went through everything, like the gold and the priesthood and everything like that. Machu Picchu. Can you pull up? Just type in Machu Picchu real quick for people that might not know. You know what I mean? Just in case. That's the exhibit we went to, and we're gonna put a little stuff together to show you the walkthrough pictures and all the stuff that we got of certain antiques they brought. They get ready to go in March 6th. They go into Paris. You know what I'm saying? They had it in Meisner Park, Boca. You know what I mean? At the Boca Museum. It still was a good exhibit though, because they had real gold in that bad boy. And people had gold in their nose. I don't know how I can do it. They gold have been all over my mouth. Either way though, you know. All gold, everything. We talking about how these people having them gauges in their ear, all gold gauges. You heard them about big as some man shooting things like this big, this long. You know what I'm saying? Them things are huge. So either way though, this is the place actually that the exhibit is talking about. We're dealing with Machu Picchu. You know what I'm saying? Since 15th century Inca citadel located in eastern, you know what I mean, corridor, I guess it is in Spanish, of the southern Peru in 24 or 30 meter. And it sits on the mountain ridge. You know what I'm saying? So when we went there, I just want y'all to see this. That's Machu Picchu. All right, just make sure y'all see. It says the Inca, in contrast with the Mayans, had no written language, and no European visited the site until 19th century. So far as is known, there are therefore no written records of the site while it was in use. The name of the buildings they're supposed used and their inhabitants are all the product of modern archaeologists on the basis of the physical evidence, including tombs at the site. Now, in the exhibit, one thing that caught me right, it was the virtual joint in the first 15 minutes of the tour, right? And when they first start off, the dude takes off, he's flying in the air with the dude. You know what I'm saying? It was really, I ain't gonna for a minute, I had to touch my feet on the ground, make sure that VR shit didn't have me spooky or not, make sure I wasn't tripping. So we ended up on the top of this mountain, trying to give you a little visualization. It ain't gonna work, I know. But either way, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, start talking about the three major windows lit up. You remember that guy with the three, okay, and they talk about the serpent, the jaguar, and the condor. You know what I'm saying? Those are the three major, you know what I mean, of that culture of Machu Picchu. All right. So the serpent is the underworld, the panther is on the land, and the condor is in the heavens. And they all have their situations and attributes of what they, you know what I mean? And people deify that, you know what I mean, in that way, kind of way, you know, all that good stuff. Right? It was kind of cool. You know what I mean? But I brought that in because obviously we know that the Spanish are the people that came in, they said, and conquered the Inca, you know what I'm saying, and the Mayan, right? That's what they say. This is their documentation for that. You know, that's how we end up with terms like Ladino, Pardo, Mestizo, Moscago, you know what I mean? Mexican, mixta, you know what I mean? All these different variations they use for these combinations of a caste system of what took place up with the Requiremento. You feel me? Because, right, didn't the Inca didn't even fall into like 1528. The Requiremento was 1510. The Inca and the Aztecs didn't fall before that time. So it wasn't until that was passed that they were like, okay, we're making a rundown. We're giving these vice royalties power to make a rundown. You feel me? To make a rundown. You know what I mean? I'm just putting that out there like that. That's what I'm gonna call it. Go ahead, make the rundown, but remember you're gonna have to pay me some money back when I let you do your thizzle. You know what I mean? You're doing your thizzle, I'm gonna need to get a little, you know what I mean? You're gonna have to get a situation out of that. You know what I mean? I need my cut. Well, you know, this is right here is this is where it kind of gets interesting. I know some people might agree with obviously what they might depict the people, how they might look, however the case might be. That's the debate people might get into, right? But I'm just into, you know, just showing the feat of what they did in that area, that region. You know what I mean? It's crazy. I ain't gonna lie, it's crazy. I got this article I want to pull up, because, matter of fact, yeah, that's the one I want to pull up. Because I think that when Homeboy in here said earlier about how he's been through a certain school of thought, like a lot of people have, and we got to get, you know, focused on, you know, what our genealogy and everything, nation, real nation of people, instead of the religious part that we know came with the system that came, obviously that's documented too when it came, and how we can be influenced. I'm not saying that there wasn't people who didn't come on their own free will or under different situations that were underneath the Roman Catholic Church before that time. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that. But what I'm dealing with, let me see if I made sure. I need this one right here. Let me get this right here. Let me get that. I think that that situation is gonna be set up like this one I'm about to pull up. I'm gonna pull up on the screen. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a now this is going right back to Aboriginal again. See, so for those that be trying to say we don't have sources, then with literally the word from South America, North America, Canada, the islands, West Indies. You know, the only colorful words I'm using these days is Aboriginal American and Maroon. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I know. I'm coming with that Maroon thing very soon for y'all. I don't ain't nobody telling you really what it's. I ain't gonna go on. I'm gonna say that for another time. But either way, before the source comes up, just understand that we're dealing with the time frame of when these same groups of people, the Nombre Indios, you know what I'm saying, comes in, the St. Augustine and the Requiremento 10 and everything you see in the show on the screen. So I only got to go down in detail if you saw what's going on already. Go look that up, right? We'll be scrolling right now. We're trying to make a little move with this. The occult among the Aborigines of South America. Some remarks on race, coloniality, and the West in the study of esotericism. See, this ethnogenesis one is going to be a different situation. So I had to make sure I let you know. You know what I mean? Because we talk about Aboriginal. So this interesting part, because I want to go into the Popa Bull and Shallambala. See what I'm saying? Because those two things come back to a certain obviously group of people we would call indigenous to that area, dealing with Machu Picchu and certain going into a little more north of that, and certain groups, the Inca, the Aztec, Mayan situation, all that, right? Particularly though, particularly It says in recent decisions about the global dimensions, esotericism is conceived as the Western European phenomenon spread or diffused from Western Europe to the rest of the world. This can be seen in the Walter Hangriff's notion of a globalization of esotericism, by which originally European esoteric or occultist ideas and practices have now spread all over the globe. In Henrik Bogdan and Gordon Divergic proposal to understand how occultism changes when it spreads to the new environments. You can scroll up real quick. In Granholm's statement that often Western culture is used to denote a European culture which has spread beyond Europe, or in Juan Pablo Belo's perspective on esotericism in Latin America that presents the idea of diffusion of Western European esotericism and the new continent in the 16th through 19th centuries. In contrast, I argue that the esotericism is not a Western European phenomenon spread to the new continent, as it did not originate exclusively in Europe. Rather, its emergence can only be fully comprehended in light of the conquest of America. While in the scope of this article, it can hardly suffice to fully elaborate. You can scroll up for me. Hold on, wait, stop right there. Elaborate this argument. I provide examples from the conquest of the Anahuac. See, that's the Aboriginal term. They didn't say the Aztec. So I just gave it to you, though. Most people know about the Aztec, but we are talking about the Anahuac. You know what I mean? Later known as Mexico, shedding new light on both the nature of the phenomenon or the historical context of its emergence. In the first part of the article, I show how Aborigines, educated in the Castilian institutions, produced modern esoteric discourses grounded in Platonism, Platoism, to resist the colonization of their past and integrate into a European historiography of salvation. In doing so, I briefly describe the result of this in modern Mexico, what I term a racial persica theology, is cultural movement known as the Mexican Renaissance. We scroll up a little bit more. Second, I show how the aforementioned diffusionist perspectives are grounded in the misleading Eurocentric premise, making it difficult to address those issues in a productive manner. By denying the Iberian modernity of isolating Europe from its colonial context, this practice concedes modernity in esotericism, right? So it goes into all that to show you that these people are, obviously had to hide the Platoism. You know what I mean? They converted into the system of these people that came, and they weren't doing this before this time frame until they came in contact with these groups of people. The whole Platoism, that's going back to Greek and his thoughts of Atlantis, right? Yeah, Platoism. That's Mount Olympus, Zeus, and all that. So scroll up a little bit more real quick. Let me see this. Like I said, we got to keep it moving. Start right there. In this paragraph, It says, third, I propose as a remedy a decolonial approach that moves from isolated to teleologic frames and understands modernity as a phenomenon that emerged in the 1500s through the conquest. From this perspective, I provide, on one hand, a clear and historical informed definition of the West, and on the other, discuss races as the cultural category of modernity that legitimized the new relationships of the domination that implanted the caste system in America. Finally, I discuss Martinism in Argentina by way of Henry Grigios. This is El Cote chez les Aborigines de America du Sud. Is that French? Look at this. Man. Look at the joint from there. Tell me if you can. El Cote. You see? El Cote.
Yeah, yeah, it's chez les Aborigines de l'Amérique du Sud,
What's that mean?
of the Aboriginal people of the Americas from the South, from South America.
Okay. So I'm making sure the French part kick in. You know what I'm saying? The occult among the huh?
Say it right.
I don't know. I want him to say it. 'Cause I want him to say it in French though. You know what I'm saying? Should sound French when they say it in French though. They can. I know they can see it. They can read it themselves too. Shoot, I just want to put the little emphasis on it. Cause you know I be messing it up. How you said it was better than me. You said it better than me. See? That's also a point I want him to point out because yeah, in French they have the word Frenchy, right? But obviously the French obviously had the word Aborigine too, right? So I mean, I just wanted to point that out. That's why I made you kind of throw that out there. You know what I'm saying? The occult among the Aborigines in South America to show how the race of colonialism operate and how the new perspective can be useful. Then it's going to come down here. See the occult among the Aborigines of South America. This shit, it's a good article, y'all. It's an ethnogenesis joint. I gotta, throw these in here. Dealing with the Aboriginal American. According to Serge Grudzinski, you gotta go check this guy out. Renowned in Latin American specialist and the pioneer of global history, the conquest of Mexico constituted the foundation of the European historical consciousness, and the globalization of the history started with the Spanish and the Portuguese colonial expansions. Grudzinski shows that there was not a world history in an empirical sense until Spaniards started writing the histories of Aborigines in the Americas. Prior to 1492, the planet polycentric, different civilizations coexisted with different ways of recording. Can you scroll up for me? Stop right there, please. Recording their past and conceptualization. Excuse me, a conceptualization. That's I'm saying it like that. Ization. I said it wrong. I said it right. A conceptualizing, tongue twister for me. Their territory. However, all civilizations were at the center of their own origin stories. In 1492, for the first time, Europeans insisted that their story was the planetary center and desired to homogenize the world according to its image. And Gruskinski explains the historization of the Amerindian cultures implied both the creation of a historical time and the imposition of it as a universal notion on other civilizations, a process that has not stopped since then. So that's one to make sure that I put that, you know what I mean? That right there is a good drop. Dealing with 1492. So 1492, right? They're telling you that before that time there wasn't a global, there wasn't a one, and like everybody wasn't thinking, and like no, that's not what was going down. Every nation of people, tribes, different empires doing their own thing, unless they were subjecting others within their own, landmass to be underneath them, maybe, but not from the European standpoint of this religious ideology that we have been in contact with, and even the ones that actually have someone who still are, work if you apply yourselves right to them, but that has nothing to fact of the matter. That wasn't what these people were doing before they came in contact with this situation. Now, interesting enough though, They said all this to say that really there's a whole nother thing to this. See, it's a whole nother and this ethnogenesis conversation of the Aboriginal American and why people be like, oh, they don't mix and pseudo words thrown at people when they, have conversations about what they have read in history or from different sources they might have gathered and, what school of thought they're coming from with this information. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they belief, their faith, their creed, whatever the case might be. I ain't here to disrespect nobody's thought process on none of them. But just off the information of our ethnogenesis of Aboriginal Americans, I do self-identifying that, man. I see there's a debate going on with all these things. We're not debating here because we're reading from the sources for you to read for yourself, and you can pull up and you can dissect it yourself. Debate with the source. Debunk the person that put it out. Debunk the dissertations that these people that have to pass these people to get them their PhDs and their masters based off these sources that we are going to pull from, obviously in the future that we have. You know what I'm saying? For what we're going to have our conversations from, I should say. You know what I mean? Because we ain't into all that spooky stuff. I want this right here. Since we talk, since we this right here. Let me get that next real quick. I got about 15 minutes. We're gonna slide. You know what I mean? 15, 20 minutes. Gonna get out of here. But at the same time, each and every Sunday, don't forget next week Sunday, Aboriginal Wall Street, first Sunday of the month. And then again, we're working out. I think I'm locked in on the 13th for some 13 action. That was some conversation with Lee Cummins. So look out for that too. We got other things coming up too. Like I said, after the solstice, excuse me, equinox, spring equinox coming up. I always be messing myself up with that. After the 21st of March, Aboriginal New Year, as I like to call it. We gonna be going in on some other things. Like I said, we just had our first meet and greet. Very excited about that. I hope everybody had a great time. So far, so good. Everybody's got back to their places from California to wherever they came from, Arizona. You know what I'm saying? The Carolinas. You know what I mean? People came from a lot of places. St. Louis, huh? Georgia. You know what I'm saying? And all the people that tapped in with us this weekend. Talk. So this right here, though, goes into that last article I just brought up, dealing with the whole occult and certain things. And because of the fact that there's a certain books, right? And I said them earlier, the Popol Vuh and the Shadam. Now, the Shadam is, I got to shout out to, you see the Jaguar? The Pardo. You see that Pardo? You know what I'm saying? Shalom, Balam, the Balam. So where the Balam at? I got it right here. It's on this side, this side. It's on this side. Let me see that. See, pull up. Hold on real quick. Yeah. See that? Yeah. The Balam. You know what I mean? The Jaguar. So the Jaguar priests, see what I'm saying? They dealt with the situation a certain way. You know what I mean? And obviously they had their rituals and ceremonies and certain things. You just heard me say Machu Picchu, how the serpent is on the ground, the panther represents the land, and the priests who control certain things in this certain group of people underneath their beliefs and creed of what they were doing had their priesthood, and they were called shamans, but they were also called Jaguar priests, right? So this whole book dealing with Shalam Balam is obviously supposed to be the written things of their origin story of their group of people and everything like that. You know what I mean? And then but when you do some research like the Popol Vuh, right? You've come to find out these same people. I just read that last document. We just want you to read that, go into that, digest that, right? How these after 1492, some people like we would call Ladino or Pardo, or even the Pardo is a great word way really for me to give you that, because a Pardo could be a dark or a brown. It's obviously brown. That's what it means. Part of my complexion. You know what I'm saying? But it's also dealing with a person that could have been basically a Christian Aborigine at that time in that land, dealing with the word Pardo. So when you're dealing with this word, you're dealing with it from the standpoint that they could have been, like how that other thing said, a Castilian, raised in a Castilian education system. You know what I mean? And then they're the ones that are representing, rewriting, as this singer said, rewriting Mayan religion. So you have a mixture of this Castilian, Portuguese, or whatever different cases coming in, mixing in, and then putting their spin on it from that point. Even after the Requiremento took place in 1510, now they're even hiding it behind saints and different things because of what's going on now. Esoteric, occult, hidden knowledge, hiding behind what there's a requirement out there right now. There's a hit on your head. You go out there. Like there's so much documentation on how these people are hiding you know what I'm saying? So that's why this book right here showing you how they rewrote some joint and give it a dude, you know what I mean? See how the kichi, that's an Aboriginal term. They use Maya, but the kichi, you know what I'm saying? Just we can go into these things, but I wanted to show the sources so people can get the chance to go check it out for themselves. Because like I said, we ain't gonna do all the other stuff, you know what I mean? We ain't got time for all that. No, we ain't got time for all that. I'm gonna show you one more thing before we slide. Can you pull up the Papa Vu? I got two more things. I want that, and I want to show this origin joint last. All right, you can show me the Papa Vu, and then that one right there. Let me do. I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you, God, the Green for on the boards. Shout out to Indian Red for joining us tonight as a guest. You know what I mean? Once again, shout out to Blaze, newborn baby Nigeria came into the world. You did. And 22222. What's up, nephew? Papa Vu Maya document, an invaluable source of knowledge of ancient Mayan mythology and culture, written in the Quiche. It says the Mayan language by a Mayan author or authors between 1554 and 1558. It uses a Latin alphabet with the Spanish orthography. It chronicles the creation of humankind, the actions of the gods, the origin and the history of the Quiche people, and the chronology of their kings down to 1550. So we slide up real quick now. The original book, right there, the original book was discovered at the beginning of the 18th century by Francisco Jimenez, parish priest of the Chichen Centenario in the highland of Guatemala. He both copied the original Quiche text, now lost, as they say, and translated into Spanish. His works is now in the Newberry Library in Chicago. In 2009, archaeologist Richard Hansen discovered two 8-meter long panels carved in stucco from the pre-classic Mayan site of El Mirador, Guatemala, that depicts the aspects of the Popol Vuh. The panels, which date to about 300 BCE, some 500 years before the classic period fluorescence of Mayan culture, attested to the antiquity of the Popol Vuh. It says, in explaining how the Mayan gods created the world, the Popol Vuh features the hero twins, Tahana Pu and Xblakun. That's how I'm gonna say it, right? Boy, let me tell you, I ain't gonna get that right. I ain't gonna lie. Who were to transform into, respectively, the sun and the moon. One of the panels depicts the hero twins beneath a bird deity, and the other panel features a Mayan maize corn god surrounded by a serpent. The panels thus authenticated the earliest written version of the Mayan origin story, transcribed by Jimenez. It's with the X, but I put the J. See, just like how the Greeks used the I and Christians used the J, and the Hebrews used the Y. Lord. Either way, contemporary additions to the Popol Vuh include the Dennis Tale. Like they got all the different editions. You know what I mean? But it got rewritten. You know what I mean? That's the point I'm really trying to. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't even written in Latin originally. You know what I mean? So they rewritten, they transcribed it. You know what I mean? Let me tell you something. Slide up a little bit more. There's something else real quick right there. There's something that's down there. No. I just wanted to get to that Britannica part at the top. You could give me that last source. We're going to get out of here on that note. But thank y'all again for joining us for this series. You know what I mean? The Ethnogenesis of Aboriginal American Part 5. You know what I mean? And This, like I said, the documentation is there. You know what I mean? Hopefully you go back. If you missed the show, come back and check it out. Tell me what you think. I'll let your boy start coming back, Sir Balaam, man.
What's the last one?
This one right here, the origin joint of this, where they say they got this origin from. I thought this was interesting.
Of the origin of Kabbalah.
Yeah, give me that. I thought this source was interesting. I'm gonna leave on that note. This is one of the joint readers there to make them think. Till next week. But given no next week, it's Aboriginal Wall Street. You know, we on that commerce game. We talking about economics, financial literacy, and all that good stuff, current events and stuff like that. But at the same time, we got a special guest that's going to be coming on actually talking about patents. You know what I'm saying? Because I think people need to understand patents. We want to get into this trademark thing. People got a lot of ideas and they need to know how to protect these ideas because people, boy, let me tell you.
Thank you.
You know how many damn patents our people had in this month that they talk about now that we hear in history that they did not benefit from? What they call Black History Month for all the freedmen, geniuses, free people of color, geniuses, etc. You know what I mean? But this word, they get the origin of Kabbalah. On this link, though, I found it interesting. They're going to go into that whole conversation right here of the Shallambala. So I want you to just bear with me because this is why I'm going into it. Just because I found this, in the conversation of dealing with the Pope of Old, the Shallambala, and, you know what I mean, that the 15th century and how certain, obviously Kabbalah, most people that are Hebrew or Hebrew Israelites might, understand that whole situation of the esoteric side of the Torah or whatever, Zohar, and all that good stuff. Anyways, what we call the Kabbalah is a timeless, eternal science that transcends any notion of time, race, heritage, or lineage. It is the basic structure of everything. In the ancient times, there was an organization called the Al Khaldan Society, an organization of initiates of the Antillean civilization. The Antillean civilization was the Maya civilization. In this day and age, there are many anthropologists trying to explain the mystery of the Maya civilization. They ignore the Mayans and Antilleans. They, they ignore that the Mayans and Atlanteans are the same civilization. That's what they're saying here. Then it says, in the time of the Golden Age, the Akkadian society was very deeply studying the science of numbers that we now call Kabbalah. That is why the Yucatan, Mexico, there's a book of Kabbalah written by Mayan Shalom called Shalom Balaam of the Shumayel. Shumayel is a town in Yucatan. Shalom Balaam means in the Mayan language the jaguar shaman or the shaman jaguar, which means an illuminated master who knows about Kabbalah. In the book, you find many prophecies made in the mathematical Kabbalistic way. And it goes into all the Sephiroths and all that, in this paragraph right here. You know what I mean? But in the last part, this comes back again and it says that this was to get interesting. It said, at the time of the Mayan Atlantean civilization, the Akkadian society transferred their knowledge into different civilizations. Coming to my mind now is the civilization of Chaldea that existed after the Atlantean civilization. Chaldea inherited the knowledge of the Kabbalah. I found that interesting. Then it came down even more. It says Abraham, the progenitor of Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, came to the city of Ur, sometimes written or or, you know what I mean, like light. This is what it's going to say here right after that. The Hebrew word means light. Abraham was a very knowledgeable in Kabbalah, astrology, and other ancient sciences, went from the city of to Egypt. In Egypt, he learned that most of the Egyptians also inherited this type of knowledge of Kabbalah. So yeah, I'm gonna stop there. You know what I mean? I just wanted to put that out there. I thought that right there, mate, based off of the occult joint from the 15th century, how esoteric got over here, and what they're saying the influences. Just throw out the Platonism. You know what I mean? And because they tell you if there's books, the Zohar shows in history. By the way, there's a book that they got, and I forgot that bad boy. I can show you it. That they talk about certain people that were influenced by Kabbalicism, and Plato's one of them. Feel me? Just to put that out there. You know what I mean? He's one of them. So, you know what I mean? He's influenced by the Zohar, read the Zohar, all that good stuff, getting the Kabbalah and all that good stuff. And all the ways you want to spell it, pronounce it, because I know some people would be petty about that too. But that's all good. You know what I mean? It's just the ethnogenesis conversation about the Aboriginal American, part 5, though. 22 shots. Doth, 22. That's what we're doing. So, what you want to know what we're doing? We're putting it out. This is what we're doing. Shout out to the social club members that tapped in. Like, again, they came in this week, and we appreciate you. And the smoke out joint's good. You one of them back. What you say? Let me try one on the right side. But real talk, each and every Sunday right here, 8 to 11 o'clock, 8 to 9, campaign mix, super blaze. Every week, obviously a little bit of different things going on. We're just saying we're promoting it. I got to keep promoting it as part of the game. Aboriginal Wall Street every first Sunday. You know what I'm saying? After that, it's just a special guest throughout the week, or the month, I should say. You know, whatever the 4 Sundays we got in the 13 months of the year. 13 times 4 is 52. 5 plus 2 is 7. I hope you see my synchronicity. No, for real though. God, man. We can slide. Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all for tapping in. We'll see y'all next week. If not, check us out on Clubhouse, Wi-Fi Wednesdays, each and every Wednesday. This week, Thursday, we do got right Opie doing the Aboriginal American genealogy from 6 to 8 o'clock. Yeah, check us out on Clubhouse. He's doing that. You know what I mean? Him and Gotti Green running that right there, popping. And again, tap in with us. Appreciate y'all. Peace.